Once more, we are recording. I am Mike G. This is MOTN Random Select, where we choose randomly eight genre films that are pitted against each other randomly as well. And this trio of three amigos, two amigos and one amiga, gets to decide who will be the ultimate champion. We're back. We're in the heat of things. Two films have been eliminated, and we have two up for the fight right now. Let's do introductions all around for those who are finding us for the first time. Let's start with the man himself, the not so evil, I wouldn't say X, Wash. What's going on?
Yo, what up? I don't know what any of those words mean in that sentence, but I am not evil. Let's get that straight. I am not the villain, which is what, I heard in my head a couple of different times. I don't know if we have any Razor Ramon fans here, but
I am the
I'm the
bad guy.
villain. I'm the bad guy. That's what I've been saying. I think you put villain in my head. It's like I am the bad guy. I will never say that, but yeah. Anyway, hi. Welcome back. Boxing match. Let's roll.
Yes. Speaking of boxing, we have Ramona Flowers' own motivational speaker, Tootie Odin. What's going on?
Hi guys, how are all of you? I'm Tootie O.
I
I'm
am.
making fun of you. I'm
I.
making fun of you, by the way. And if Brian's the evil ex, does that mean you guys used to date? Tell me. Tell me, please.
No, he's someone's
I
evil
told him
ex. He's
Oh, okay.
someone's
I,
evil
I
ex.
told
Not
him.
yours. Oh, all
Not
right. I
mine.
just
No.
thought there was, a
No.
tension here.
If
Okay.
there was any bad blood, we made up. I'll just put it like that.
Very nice. Oh,
If there was
cool.
ever any bad blood. At one time, he gave me a small piece of cheese out of the big block. I kind of held it against him for a while, but I got
It's a
over it.
no-no. Yep.
The
It's a
small
no-no.
cheese.
I mean, I'm from Wisconsin. I need my block of cheese.
I feel it, man. I feel it.
Yes, justified.
Speaking of Justified, we have two unjustly films here, and where there's really no hero or villain in either of these films, if you want to keep it a buck. Today, we will be discussing the 2010 film adaptation by um, Edward Edgar Wright, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my dome. And of course, the 2003 adaptation of a manga, which is Old Boy by Park Chan Wook. I don't know where to start with these two.
Can I start with random select? Can I just start with random select and how completely random we picked these movies, eight movies individually with no rhyme or reason talking to each other, then picked them absolutely randomly. And if you look at the battles that we've had, we have reoccurring strange themes. We have movies that are both like subtitled. We have just strange, weird things coming out of random select. And I'm here for it, but I started watching these two movies and I'm like, what out of all the movies, how do we keep hitting like these diametric like similarities?
What do you guys think the main theme is here? I already have my answer. I just want to know if you guys are on the same page with it.
I
Letting go.
mean, ah,
I think it's
I
the
say
theme.
revenge.
Yeah, it's the
revi-
theme. It's like the theme of letting. To me, it's like the theme of letting it go. Like they're both characters in this film need to just let it
These
go.
films.
These
he's
films,
like, let go.
and they won't.
I'll go with you. Revenge, Tootie. It's
These
a
are both
revenge,
revenge themed films.
and
Yeah.
they're both martial arts films, which I didn't kind of see coming. Question mark. Anyway, moving on.
Kung Fu Magic Tree. Let's just start with the good old random select question. What is your history with these two films? Let's start with Toots. What's your history with these two films?
With Old Boy, I watched a very long time ago. I must have been maybe 19, maybe 20 years old. And full disclosure, I was actually watching it. I was on a date with one of my very first girl crushes at the time. and I was really trying to impress her. So I let her just put on whatever you want, whatever you want to watch. I'm good. She happened to choose Old Boy for some reason, and I remember we watched the movie. I loved the movie at the time. I was like, oh my god, that's so brilliant. And then I remember actually, she was a neighbor. I remember actually riding my bike back home to my mom's house, totally disturbed and fried by it, and it just sat with me. But it's still, I never understood it to be anything else. But man, that was a good movie. What a twist! But also a really good movie. With Scott Pilgrim, I didn't watch it when it first came out. I didn't really watch it because of the hype or anything. It was somewhat popular when it came out. I kind of watched it a little bit afterward. Uh, like randomly on HBO or whatever, when they play movies on. Yeah, it was just one of those situations. And I remember being extremely surprised at how much I actually really enjoyed the movie. Michael Cera was in his prime at the time when he made the film. I was what I do remember walking away with from the movie is he wasn't as I remember thinking he wasn't as funny as he was in Superbad. But obviously he wasn't playing the same character. And at the same time, he kind of was. He was kind of just playing the goofy, dorky, very shy, very timid, insecure, skinny white guy. But yeah, I did leave the movie fully satisfied when I watched Scott Pilgrim, for sure. Joyful movie.
Very cool. Very cool. How about you, Wash? Where was Wash when Old Boy dropped? I need to know. But where were you in the universe?
That was 2003. I was just having a conversation about 2003. We call those the lost years between like 2003, 2006. I come into consciousness at about 2006. Like, well, that was fun.
What was that, bro?
So anyway, I come into consciousness in 2006. I did not get to Old Boy until like 2017, 2018. I fairly recently watched this movie and I was sick. Yeah, like delirious sick, sitting on my couch or laying on my couch, and this was just on. You know what I mean? Like this Old Boy movie came on, and I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, I'm too ill to turn the channel, so I will watch it." And I remember watching it and getting done and going, "Man, that was really good." That's all I really remembered. Scott Pilgrim. Um, I had not seen Pilgrim. I had seen, the clips that people saw, but I like how Tootie referred to Michael Cera in his prime because I was like, oh, this is good Michael Cera. That's right. um, Michael, I'm just joking. At any rate, so I was not really in the know except that it was a big, Nerdiverse thing, but I did not really know why. When it started, I was not informed that it was a musical, and so my hesitation went up by like 15 because Lord knows I was not in the mood for some crappy music for 2 hours. So that was my experience with both movies.
Very cool.
Not experience, but my history with them both.
There's something special about the delirious sick movie. You know, the one you watch when you're dying and you're just in bed with 18 covers and you just put on something. Those movies stick with you, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
why.
all you can focus
It's
on.
all you can focus on.
You're like,
you got a
yeah.
you got a bucket, some Campbell's soup, and a Gatorade, and you're just watching The Fly or something,
In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because I remember getting done with it and I was so intrigued by it that I went and found the new version with Thanos, our boy, can't remember his name. So when we went back to do this rewatch, I think I might have got them confused because I thought that this was much more based about a dude who died and was brought back to life, but I was sick, remember? I was delirious sick. So when the suitcase kind of got me thinking about a casket, I think. So anyway.
Man, that reminds me of The Spirit, but also with Samuel Jackson, who was in the remake of Old Boy. You know what I mean?
Did you guys watch the remake?
Yeah.
I tried. I couldn't get through it.
I liked it.
I didn't.
I didn't mind it.
There's no way. I already knew there was no way it was going to top the original. So aside from, the selling point is it's in English. So I don't
Don't
know.
I don't have to think
I'm okay.
19% harder. You know what
I
I
can
mean?
read.
I could
Yeah.
it's okay, I could read it. Straight up, straight up. So for me, Old Boy was one of those movies where the hallway scene caught up to me before the movie. That was the big clip that was going on YouTube back in the day. Was
Literally, I wrote it down as my favorite scene in the
yes, it's the
entire film.
most
So
godlike
good.
scene in the whole film, right? The single shot hallway scene, the tiredness, the bloodiness, the visceralness. You can see shades of it in Daredevil and another movie on this list, Kingsman. Um, and it's just one of those scenes where, out of context, it's beautiful, but in the context of the film, we'll go into it further later. It's just heart wrenching. And so
Are we doing spoilers, by the way?
yeah, I think with random
Okay.
selects we can go full spoiler. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Cool.
I got to be the only person on the face of the planet who hadn't seen Scott Pilgrim. So yeah, we're good to go there.
Okay.
Cool beans.
Okay.
So just to wrap up, Old Boy, I saw it way back. It's one of those college films. You just kind of like your hoity-toity smart friend. You gotta watch. You gotta watch Old Boy. You know, it was like okay, and I kind of watched it inebriated. I can't lie. I watched it drunk back in the day. Not
Me
drunk, but
too.
like buzzed. You know, so I didn't get the meaning of it. I was just like, oh, that's gross, and I moved on. None of it hit me like it did this next watch. So I watched this inebriated in college with my jerk pastry chef college friend, and we were just like laughing and just trying to read while drunk is not fun. So yeah, I didn't know half of what they were talking. I was drifting off, checking my phone. It was bad. But for Scott Pilgrim, I was extremely weary of this film because this was one of the very first films this film that Scott Pilgrim versus the World was one of the very first books I read from start to finish. Bought every single volume, read
Oh
top
wow.
to bottom. Um, Back in the day, Jeffrey's Comics, shout out Jeffrey's Comics, shout out Jeffrey, would do comic club nights on Tuesdays where he would pick a graphic novel and we would all buy it, and a fun way for him to make money. Shout out Jeff. And we would all just talk about the book, and he loved Scott Pilgrim versus the World, so that was one of the ones that I picked up, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved the book in manga style, black and white. It was amazing. I love the story of Scott Pilgrim. Fun fact: all the songs they put the bass line in the book, so if you wanted to learn how to play it on bass, you can.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So when I was in high
That's dope.
school and I was learning how to play bass, I learned how to play most of the bass lines in Scott Pilgrim, and that helped me practice. So every time I bought it, I
You,
knew. Mhm.
you weren't in high school when it came out.
No, not in high school. No, the manga, the book.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the movie. Oh
No,
yeah, no,
this
that
movie.
makes sense. Because it's not in the movie. Duh. Okay. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. I
No
was like,
worries.
okay.
Can I ask you a question in regards to the manga? Like, what is the time period of the manga? Like, how long does this take place over in like reality?
Uh, it's like over a year almost,
Okay.
because one of the main things that is not present in this film is Canada and Montreal. Or is it Toronto? I think it's Montreal.
Toronto.
It's
I think it's
Toronto, right?
Toronto.
Toronto. Thank you.
Yeah, Toronto.
Like Toronto is a big character in the book. Like they accurately draw the city, the scapes, the malls, all the stuff that they've torn down by now. So Toronto was a big character in the book, and that's kind of left out in this movie. You know what I
I think
mean?
it's very possible they didn't want to alienate the audience into, oh, is this a Canadian film? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I think Michael
true.
Cera himself is Canadian. I think a lot of the other actors are themselves Canadian born. I wouldn't have seen it that way, but they were trying to reach a certain demo, and a lot of that demo happens to have a lot of pull in the United States. So
You're not
I can
By
see
lying.
the
why they
way,
wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
if you were in Scott Pilgrim and have not made $1 million since, I'm sorry, because everybody hit this movie.
Oh
This
yeah.
movie's like, like 10 people are all like now like household names. Wow, that's pretty impressive. You
Let's
guys are
get
all like 19 to 22.
let's get into it. Just to end my history of the movie. Yeah. Loved it and didn't because it's hard when you read the book. It's hard not to be a snob and love the movie more than the book. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about that. Let's get into Scott Pilgrim. 2010, director Edgar Wright. Synopsis: a young man must defeat his new girlfriend's seven evil exes who are willing to do anything to prevent her happiness with someone else. Fun fact: did you know the four cast members made up the band Sex Bomb spent several weeks learning how to play together as a band? Mark Webber, Elisa Peel, Johnny Simmons all had to learn their instruments from scratch, while Michael Cera had to dumb down his bass playing in order to not outshine his bandmates.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
It's cool.
That's really cool.
Let's get into it. Let's get
And it's
into it.
funny. He didn't really like play the bass that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
he
was like a
struck
joke.
2 or
So
3
that's funny.
chords in the entire film.
That's funny.
Yeah, it just
So yeah,
it's just kind of interesting what they chose to focus on in this film and what they chose not to focus on from the manga or from the and the book, so to speak.
Can I tell you one thing that I did not like about this film? And it might be because I'm an old crotchety woman now. I didn't like how pretentious they were. I hope I wasn't like that when I was 19 to 22. And I probably was. We were
We all
probably
were.
super assholes at 19 to 22. I could not I couldn't do it. Like I wanted to like find the characters so cute and so endearing. I did not. They were very fucking annoying to me. Every single one of them. Every single one of them was absolutely annoying. It was really hard to keep up with, especially the drummer. The drummer was I could not stand her. I didn't like her attitude. I didn't like how negative she was. I didn't like any of it. Like, wow, what a bitch. Like I would have definitely not hung out with somebody like that who was always a wet blanket for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I couldn't, the pretentiousness of this film overall, not a fan.
And
But
that
again, the film's really good.
it's funny you
It's
mentioned that
really
too.
good.
It's
It gradually gets better and better as it goes on because it doesn't stick to the introduction is how shitty these kids are. It doesn't stick to it. They actually become their own actual individual people, which is really nice, which is really good to see. And it all the way to the end, good stuff. All the way to the end.
oh yeah, and there's a lot of catharsis in this movie. I think you just hit then on the head. Like a lot of people have like a through line of their character, even like Knives Chow to Scott himself.
Knives. Fucking
Knives,
knives.
freaking Knives Chow, dude. Um, it's hard not to gush about Scott Pilgrim because it holds such a special place in my heart. Because I was, I could see a lot of myself in Scott back in the day. You're trying to navigate relationships as a teenager. You know what I mean, and it doesn't always go your way. But the sucky thing about Scott is that Scott was in college dating a high schooler, which was ill. Even back then, it was super. It's always been ill, right? But
Mhm.
it's like they make it an emphasis to make it ill in this storyline, and it kind of tells you right up front where Scott is in his maturity. You know what I mean, and how he has to grow throughout this entire storyline. You know what I mean? Any thoughts?
uh, these kids, I found myself torn because I felt strongly like Tootie does about the kick-ass kids. I felt as strongly about what Tootie says about these kids, about those kids. Whereas I was watching these kids, and yes, they are little assholes, but I wasn't as offended by them for whatever reason. And I think for me, it comes down to Scott Pilgrim, like again, I'm gonna go back to the bad music. When this started, I was like, "Oh no, am I about to get like terrible music?" And look, I'm a rock guy, and the music was freaking great. To go, the band, Sex Bombs, boom,
Yeah.
they were good, and thus it pulled the whole damn thing together, right? If they had not been good, if the background music had been bad, like even
Agreed.
places in the movie where it just went like Batman and Robin 1970s, pow, wham, and you're like, all right, well, that came out of nowhere. The music in the background, it was so fitting to every scene that for me watching this, it kind of took over for me. Like the sex bomb arms kind of took over for me. And it's not that I was following their journey, but I was more interested in kind of like this band as like a group, as a unity, going through all this drama. Like, yeah, dude, there's no girls allowed at band practice, bro. I'm trying to get a sign. I've worked in music. This dude's over here trying to like get his band signed, and your jackass bassist is just like, yeah, I'm never around, bro. I'm never around. It wouldn't work if they were bad, but they were good. So for me, it that comes together and brings some of the charmingness out of these little pretentious a-holes. I get it, Tootie. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to be old lady. I promise. I was. Like I said, I still enjoyed the movie. The movie is actually extremely adorable. But again, I was watching it. I was putting myself in their shoes, and I was kind of grossed out. Like, ew, was I like that? And yeah, probably. I was probably. Oh God, I was probably like that. You know what I mean? How embarrassing.
I I have to say there are not a lot of things that make me want to go back to, like, 2006 that I was talking about. But this movie, I was like, oh yeah, I remember going to clubs with my friends to watch the band. Like that was a good time, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I thought that it had a lot of heart. And let me not forget Harrison Dula, which I have to be honest, I was just like Harrison Dula the entire time. Um, Ramona.
Yes. Um,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, thank you very much.
yes.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi's actual real life wife. So
Yes.
I do have to throw that
Oh.
in there because, Star Wars. But at any rate, watching her in this, like, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I was so much more pleasantly happy with the writing. And Edgar Wright's other films, I'm not a huge fan of. You said one, Super Troopers? I don't really like that. Like
I'm,
it's not my thing.
I'm a huge fan of
So
Edgar Wright. No way I
so
love this
yeah,
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Edgar Wright. Shaun of the Dead? No?
Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. Just making
Well,
sure.
no, I don't think he did. I don't think he did Shaun of the Dead.
Who did Shaun of the Dead then?
Yeah, he did Shaun of the Dead.
I thought it was Edgar
Edgar
Wright.
Wright did Shaun of the Dead.
I thought
Yep,
so.
I looked it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's like his breakthrough
Oh,
film.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh, no
Ant
wonder I like him so much.
Ant Man, dog. You mentioned the music.
They do
Wash.
progressively get worse.
He did progressively get worse until he was ousted out of Hollywood. Shout out to Edgar Wright if you're listening. Um, the music is
He's
also
directing a Star Wars film. No, we'll go on.
who is
Anyway,
it? Taika Waititi is directing a Star Wars film.
anyway,
Mike G is
moving on.
directing a Star Wars film. It's gonna be horrible. It's gonna have nothing but Ewoks, Jedi Ewoks.
Ew.
Go on.
It's gonna be amazing. Um, the music is definitely a pillar of this film. It's like video game tropes, relationship issues, music, and it's like one of those things where I'm sure in the writing room, it's like we gotta nail the music in a Scott Pilgrim versus the World music based manga. It's like, so you saying like, oh no, is this gonna be cringy music that I'm gonna have to power through? No, I think they had an obligation to write some really sick ass music. You know what I mean?
There you
And
go.
every
For
single,
sure.
so I'm really happy that as a fan they nailed the sound. And it's what's crazy is when you read the manga and you read, there's no music to the book, so you have to read the lyrics and imagine what it sounds like. And it's one of those things like the pets, when you read Pet Cemetery and then see Pet Cemetery, it's how you imagined it in your mind. The music playing is as I imagined it when I read it in the book, and that
And
gave me good feelings.
and that's one of the really creative things about it because I wasn't familiar with the comic book, but I am familiar with the video game, right? And the video
Yeah.
game, the 8-bit video game, like, yeah,
Oh
you
my
know what I mean?
god.
It had a cool freaking soundtrack to the back of it, but when you talk about like comic books, yeah, you can't do that. So before the movie, before the video game, how do you have the balls to be like, I'm gonna write a musical and put it on paper?
You know what?
You know what I mean?
Is it
It's
considered a
pretty
musical
cool.
though?
No, I they
No.
Oh, no, okay, no, they were not singing,
Singing. They
right?
were.
They weren't singing. No,
You know
I'm
what it
not going to
is?
consider it a musical,
I
but
wouldn't. I don't. I love musicals, so I wouldn't consider it
I
so much
wouldn't.
as such.
It's
Yeah,
it's a high fidelity. You know what I'm saying? It's a high fidelity where music is the core, but it's not a musical.
for sure.
Yes,
You know what I'm
There you
saying?
yes.
go.
I
Like
Yeah,
think
what?
that's it.
for sure.
I can't
You know what
remember.
I do love about the movie is the entire time, literally from the very beginning, from the very first word that's ever spoken, the entire film is full of vulnerability, full of teenage angst,
Yeah.
or the leftover of what teenage angst would be when you're in college. Such done so brilliantly. Those actors, like you said, Brian, they really did hit the mark. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
The
star-studded
only
film.
issues that like everybody was in the freaking film. Everybody was in that film. In fact, a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while were in that film. I'm assuming that's where Allison Pill came from Heroes. I don't want to like quote myself, but didn't Heroes come on like shortly thereafter this, give or take? And then
Heroes was
she
like,
was, or was
About
it
the same time-ish.
yeah,
Yeah.
about the same time? Yeah, because I was like, oh, Allison Pugh, I haven't seen her in a while. At any rate, um, the one downer that I had with this film is going to be the fact that the timeline. Like, I love the idea, the seven evil X's, and yeah, you got to go through these dudes if you want a shot at me. Cool, whatever, kind of weird, but whatever. I get it. Everybody's got baggage. So at any rate, like, it's hard to do that in a 2-hour movie. And by hour 138, I was like, we're on like number five. Like, what are we doing? How are we
gotta
going to
go.
get this done?
You gotta
And
go.
they clocked it out with the twins. I was like, oh, that's creative. All right, you did the twin thing, and then they really got to the end of the movie. So that's one of my questions about the time span. If we saw this over, God forbid, God forbid, like a Netflix series of a season of like 8 episodes, each episode being a boyfriend, it building up to something. Yeah, that could be him putting together the league. Like that could be super cool. But yeah, it just was a little short
Couple of things on that. It's
for
funny.
what it needed
It's
to do.
it's funny you mentioned the Netflix show because there is a Scott Pilgrim animated Netflix show where all the cast of this movie come back and do like a
Shut up.
season. Yeah, it is told differently. All the cast from this specific movie come back to do the
From this
voiceover
in
work
anime,
in
that's cool.
animation form. So if you want it,
But what do you mean? The story is told differently?
yeah, it's like a
Or
guided.
is it just a different story?
I'll say this: the very first episode, Scott dies,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not
and
interested.
things
I'm good.
change, and
I
things
mean, he
change.
does die in the movie as well, but
But I mean, of course, that's not the end of Scott Pilgrim. But it just
spoilers.
spoilers. But things happen. But um, yeah, like Chris Evans is in this. Oscar
Cool.
award winning Kieran Culkin is in this film. Oscar
He did do
award
that.
winning.
He did do that.
He did
Yeah.
that though. He did
He
He
that
did.
also
though.
he carried a lot of weight in this film too.
Yes,
That
he
dude was
did.
freaking hilarious in this
He
film.
was actually probably my favorite character in the entire movie. He probably was. He
Yeah, he
apologized for Scott, respectively, accidentally seeing other man Wang. It was so adorable. It was the cutest thing.
Yeah, young
Wow.
Neil is my
Okay.
favorite character because I like young Neil.
Neil.
young Neil.
And then he
You are now Neil.
you are now Neil.
He became Neil.
Real
Yeah, that
shit.
was good.
Real shit.
That was pretty epic.
But
Yeah.
also like in the book, you can see the seasons change in the book. Like so there is a progression of time that I think what you're looking for, Wash, is
Mhm.
that it takes a while and his relationship gets weirder and weirder with Ramona and Knives kind of rather than Knives going from zero to crazy, you kind of see her go from like almost like a sight shining. You get to see her kind of descend into I hate Ramona. She took my man. You know what I mean? And it's a little bit more interesting and planned out.
I honestly like the way they did it in the movie though, because that's what a 17-year-old in love would do.
Yep.
That'd be an impulsive move. Especially she brought the Asian and Japanese influences to the entire character. Like this is what you would expect a cartoonish, not no disrespect to the role, obviously, but a cartoonish anime female character to do. You would expect her to revenge automatically. Like, no,
Revenge.
you broke the heart of the man who broke mine. You know what I mean? Like, as a 17-year-old, like, who's full of energy, yeah, I expected her to act exactly the way she did, aside from all the video game stuff, obviously, which was brilliantly done, by the way. I love the fight scenes. Every fight scene was so good. But no, she came correct. I think I love Knives.
Knives is the realest.
She came correct. Yeah,
She's too cool for him. You know what I
she
mean?
is. And yeah, she's
She's, dude, everybody's too cool for him. He's
right.
That's the
kind of an
problem.
a-hole.
That's the
You know
problem.
what I mean?
There's
Like,
no.
I mean, Ramona has her issues too. Miss Harrison Dula has her issues as well. But it's like
There's
Scott
no
is not a
a
good
good
guy.
guy, and that's the point.
You
Scott is
know.
kind of a scumbag, and you see it leak. It's like if they made a movie about Attila the Hun and he's the hero. Like what? Like why are we putting Attila the Hun in this light? You know what I mean? Whereas Scott is like, no, we start the movie with him dating underage people. Then he cheats on her immediately after he sees Ravona Flowers. And what did he say? I'm not cheating on you, Ravona. I'm cheating on Knives with you.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing? No, it's
No.
different.
And that's the one other thing I'll give this movie, and Mike knows this. He's heard me complain about romance in my movies. Like, if it's not Gone with the Wind, like, I don't
Damn.
necessarily need it. And thus, it's like, it worked. Like, the relationships worked. I didn't find myself rolling my eyes like, oh, God, what are we doing? It seemed genuine in its complexities of relationships at that age, is what I guess I would
Exactly.
say. Yeah.
Yes.
You're very good.
Yes.
Okay, I have to
So
ask the
Very
question
authentic.
before we close out our thoughts on this. Who's your favorite evil ex? And Scott doesn't count.
Well, for me, it would be Chris Evans. That
Yeah,
that that very first fight scene where Scott actually shows his stuff was very good. If you don't understand the movie, it's you don't really know what's going on. Even by not knowing what's going on, it's still amazing scenes that
very
are
good.
happening in that entire thing. So you can just clip that whole act and just see like, oh shit, this movie's probably really good. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Chris Evans played the cocky. He's so good at playing cocky guy. Um, I saw his character being very similar to Captain America, to be honest. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I don't. It's not that he's typecast. I just think that these roles just happen to coincide because, well, one, they're both kind of fantasy comic book roles. So he was really like pouring himself into all of it, and also parroting the role of an actor. He acted the way an actor would act, an actor who was brokenhearted, an actor who had an ex leave him. He was perfect for it. Yeah, Chris Evans, hands down, my favorite ex.
and
Very
it's
good.
like, there's girls here.
There's girls here. That's all it needs.
He's
That's all
like,
it
damn
took.
it.
God damn it. Girls are watching.
um,
Dog.
That's
who
funny.
was his first fight with? I cannot
Patel.
remember.
Patel. I
Who
forget his
was
first
that?
name.
I'm
Patel.
trying. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I remember watching that, and I was like, "This is freaking cool." And it's funny that I don't remember like the villain, but that was my favorite fight, whatever that first one was. But I did find the vegan funny, just that whole vegan thing, and then the
Brandon
vegan
Routh.
cops come in on him. Was that? Oh damn! That was
Superman.
Superman.
That was
Oh
Superman.
shit, that's funny. I didn't
Wow.
even catch that. I didn't even
Wow.
catch that. That's funny. Yeah, vegan cops come in. You ate pork on May 17th. He's like, no, did you
No.
really? Like,
Funny. One of
freaking
those
vegan.
cops
Funny.
is Thomas Jane, the Punisher.
Yes, it is. I caught that because I know him from the Bug Show, where he plays like a maintenance guy or something in this small little community that's filled with like UFOs and whatnot. I'll figure it out another day. Moving on.
Perfect. If I had to pick one, it's probably her lesbian lover who was not bi curious but bi furious. You know
Bye,
what I
Fury.
mean? And so I think she was super cool. Um, and also I gotta love the last boss, Gideon. Gideon is super cool because Gideon's so unlikable. and so likable at the same. I love bosses like that. If you want a trope, I love the bad guy who was like neat, like the bad guy you could have a beer with. You know, like the Hannibal Lecter, Doctor Doom
Yeah.
type, where it's like, yeah, he's evil, but I could probably. This guy's kind of cool, right? Like I'm a little envious. This guy's kind of swaggy. You know what I mean? I love that
But
villain.
he had the Razor Ramon thing going. He's like, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, that's cool to
Like, yeah,
me,
I know
dude.
what I am.
Mhm, yeah.
He's sitting on this in his friggin' little chair at the club. Like, it's like,
I,
bro, get out of here.
no, I
Like,
love
I
it.
don't.
It's so
That dude
cheesy.
irritated me.
It's like
I was
he
upset.
No, man, he looked like he was from Latveria. You know what I'm saying? Like he literally looked like a Marvel villain. And
Can't
I
remember
love
his
like outside of
name.
Scott, and he was one of the only characters that could break the fourth wall. You know what I mean? And like and understand what he's in. And I think like a special shout out to Nega Scott because Nega Scott is goaded, and Nega Scott's a pretty alright chill guy. You know what I mean?
Nega Scott.
The very very secret character last boss of the movie. How do you fight yourself?
Well, they introduce him
Oh,
in the video game.
Nega
okay.
Scott,
Yeah.
and they end up just talking
I
it
liked
out.
when they. Yeah, I like that part when he comes walking out. I'm like, that's very Michael Cera. Like, all right, have a good day. I'll catch you for lunch next week.
Yeah, he's an all right guy. We have a lot in common. Any last thoughts on Scott Pilgrim? We got some good talking out on this one.
Surprisingly fun watch. Surprisingly fun watch. I was shocked at myself when it ended, and I was like, that was 2 hours. I don't even think I paused it. I think I watched it straight through too. So yeah.
Cool beans. How about you, Toots?
I was left satisfied. It's a very good movie. Like I said, very joyful, very fun, very full circle, and that's exactly what you want in a movie. So
I don't think we've done it, but like top 5 comic book adaptations. I mean, top 10 comic book adaptations, comic book movie
I'm down.
adaptations. This may be on the
I'm
list.
down.
I think this
It
might
would
be on the
probably be
list.
on the list, but it wouldn't be very high up on my list because there's
Same
way too
here.
many good ones.
It's
Yeah.
way too many good ones. It's like Batman 1989, then Scott Pilgrim. Like blasphemy. Oh,
What?
what?
Well, we have Sin City, we have V for Vendetta, we have the Watchmen for crying out loud. Yeah, no, there's too many good ones that people are really missing out on because they're so focused on the Marvel universe, which is unfortunate.
It's a
Oh.
shame. It's a shame. I could talk for hours about the hidden gems of comic book adaptations that, like you said, Toots, people just aren't on.
Right.
Oh, okay. Watch the
V
Rocketeer,
and V and Watchmen or Rocketeer. Holy crap! Road to Perdition.
the
Get out of
Phantom.
town, guys. Get out of town.
We
Alec,
have two Rocketeer people in the same room because I cannot stand that movie. That movie's
blasphemy.
absolutely awful.
You know
And
what? You know what?
I
Michael was
love that
upset.
movie.
Michael was
I'm
upset when I
I'm
said
upset
that.
now. Don't.
I
I'm not trying to
love
pop
that
off,
movie.
bro.
That's
Don't,
a very good movie, actually.
don't make me pop
Terrible.
off, bro. I got a
Dick
Uh,
Rocketeer.
Tracy.
Dick
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 Tracy,
Tracy
yes.
Tracy. We forgot
Hundred,
with
about Dick
hundred.
Tracy.
Madonna and Al Pacino and shit. Mm. I have a Rocketeer back there in the village, dog. Mm. Don't get me started. You
And
know,
you can catch more of this banter on MOTN
TN
Live
live
on
There you
Friday.
go.
Friday 6 p.m. Pacific Standard. Watch Mike get mad again because someone will upset me. Speaking of upsetting things, let's roll right into this
I'm still
bag
here,
of
by the way.
candy. Let's roll right into this big ass bag of candy. Old Boy, based off the manga, 2003 is when this came out. Directed by Park Chan-wook. Synopsis: after being kidnapped and imprisoned for 15 years, Old Day Soul is released, only to find that he must track down his captor in 5 days. Did you know that Choi Min-sik, the main character, Dae-soo, trained for 6 weeks and lost 20 pounds to get in shape for the role of Dae-soo and did most of his own stunt work?
No, I
Nice.
did
20
not know.
pounds. That's nothing. Well, it's nothing for a fat person, I guess. But yeah, that's nothing, man.
I roll out of bed and shed 20 pounds.
Calm down.
I'm a tublet.
Calm down, Daisu.
Dae-soo lost that weight,
Shoot.
dog. He got cut.
What a show off.
They put him in that room for 15 years. He lost
There
all
you
the
go.
weight.
That's it.
Michael, why don't you start us off, man?
There you go.
Why don't you start us off?
Why do I get the hard work of starting off with this so intellectually like complex kaleidoscope of emotion? Um,
You named the podcast.
I did name the podcast.
That's why.
Dang it, hoisted by my own petard. Um, Old Boy is one of those films where it's one of those movies you don't. It's not like, oh, I have an evening free. Let me watch Old Boy. Hey, we're having friends over. Let's watch Old Boy. Like, I'm surprised Toots' date, you guys watched Old Boy. It's like, hey, we have an evening free. Let's watch Martyrs or Requiem for a Dream. You know what I mean? It's not like,
Well, at the time, it had just come out.
right.
So it
how
was
would you know?
maybe 2003, 2004. So it must have been a movie that was super like mind blowing. She's like, you gotta watch this. So not that dykey. She wasn't like that. But yeah, she was
Gotta
like, you have to
watch
watch this. Yeah, you gotta watch this right now. No, she wasn't like that. But yeah, she really meant it. She was like, yeah, let's. So obviously, like I said, what was I gonna say? No, I don't feel like it. No, man. Like I'm interested in this girl. I wanted to, you know what I mean? It was our first date. So I was like, yeah, I'm down, bro. The date was over. The date was over like pretty much halfway through the film. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. And again, like no, we're still friends even to this day. Like she's a good old lady like I am now. But yeah. Yeah, like I went into it just a fresh faced noob on nothing of the nature of the subjects and walked out extremely disturbed. And I'm even well, I think I mentioned in the chat the other day that this movie stuck in my teeth because it did. I could not let go of it. I had to process the entire thing as an adult, like as a full blown adult that raised a family, and you know what I mean. That went through dynamics of husbandry and domestication and all kinds of stuff. So I went through it in a different filter with a different filter, not the filter of a college kid who was just there to, go on a date and have and impress somebody. You know what I mean? It was a totally different vibe. And so it stuck with me this time. And I just recently watched it to do the homework. It stuck. In fact, it stuck so much. I literally last night had one of the worst dreams I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
So this movie is disgustingly sick. And we'll get there. For anybody who hasn't watched it, there is going to be spoilers, but it's still really worth the watch if I'm being honest, because it's a very brilliant film. The soundtrack is incredible in this entire movie. There's tension behind the classical songs that they choose. This movie is absolutely, impressive to say the least, but also very disturbing. And if you're not ready for the disturbing part, the way I wasn't, as I approached it as a full-grown adult, it's going to stick with you. It's going to stay in your brain, and it's going to be like, ew, why did I do that to myself?
Yeah, I completely concur. Please don't get me when I mention movies like Martyrs. Don't watch Martyrs, Nerdiverse. Please don't search that movie out.
I like murders.
Martyrs is. I lost friendships over Martyrs.
I liked
Okay,
it.
people stopped talking to me because I knew what that was. It's a no. I can't be responsible. I'm not. ISO on mic. I'm not responsible.
But here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Just because a movie's subject matter isn't our favorite or it's a little bit taboo, if the movie's brilliant, you have to acknowledge the brilliance of its
That's
direction, and the actors and their full commitment to what they're actually going through and what they're actually doing. That's the part that makes the movie brilliant. Oh, I didn't like it because it was about murder. Like, so, like,
no.
did you actually watch the movie? You know
Right.
what I mean? So it is one of those films, like Centipede. A lot of people, it's a more popular one. A lot of people are put off by Centipede because of the subject matter and because of the visuals in the movie. Think about the actors that had to do all of that, though, and how committed they were to that role. These are the things, these are the footprints that make a movie as brilliant as it is. So, and I feel the same about Old Boy, hands
These
down.
these are a few of my favorite things. A missing tooth, a bloody
Wow.
hammer. Um, yeah, I think you can't. It's almost like having a really. You know what it is? These movies are spicy dishes, right? Like, think about it like this. Like this movie
Not
is
to be racist, but it's a kimchi movie.
it's a
It's
kimchi.
kimchi.
No, it's a spicy film, right? Like a lot of people can't handle the heat, so they can't taste the flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like
For sure.
you can't handle the heat, so you don't even think about the dance of aromas and flavors in the kimchi. We're not doing this. Um, so movies
Why
like
not?
ISO on Toots, back on Toots. No, no, no,
No, no, no, no, no.
no, 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 no. Superman, no here. Um, it. It's just this movie is so smart and so beautifully shot, and I like the use of hands in this movie. They really have a beautiful emphasis on just gripping and reaching, and it's just the way it's shot is so left of center than anything that came out in the U.S. at that time. Like like Wash mentioned, I think you mentioned too. The music is amazing, but the subject matter is not for the faint of heart. Like I would ask anyone to watch Audition, which is one of my favorite foreign films. It's not necessarily horror. It's kind of like in the same vein almost, but the roles are reversed. You ever seen Audition, Wash?
No.
Ooh, you got to watch some Audition. Um, but I think
Oh,
that is a whammy. Whammy. That is definitely a whammy. But I think if you can get past the heat of the subject matter, you can see the beauty in this film. In the beauty, like Tu said, the beauty in the performances. Because everybody's killing it. I don't know where a lot of these actors are now, but everything from the villain to his cool blonde haired henchman that didn't really say a word, and Toots was like, "He's gonna do something cool. Check it out. Look at him. He's just standing there. You know he's badass. You just know it because he's just standing there. You know." Down to the titular Dae Soon, who you can literally see lose his mind throughout the course of this film, to the point of full psychotic break. Spoilers coming up soon, and it's just something to be applauded. I think this is one of those movies. It's a Passion of the Christ, right? Watch it
I think we
one.
need to actually spoil the movie now instead of hinting to it
Fair
because
enough.
that's not fair to the audience.
Okay, so let's do the synopsis real quick, and with the spoiler in mind, right? Um,
You did
he
the synopsis already.
Yeah,
right.
you already
So
did that.
with that
Yeah.
done, him being kidnapped for 15 years, meeting a girl immediately after, which should have given off red flags, them falling in love, and him going on this quest to find out why in the course of what was it, 5 days? That's what I missed in the translation. He had five
Give or
days to
take.
figure it out, or he was gonna die. How, am I wrong in that? What was the ultimatum given to him by the main villain?
Just
Yeah,
5 days.
yeah. He had about 5 days figured out, and they were going to take him back. Basically,
You're
they were
gonna
going to
recapture.
return him back into captivity. Yeah.
Right. So, who wants to spoil it? Because I could spoil. I don't want. I don't. I talk too much. Who wants to spoil it?
Here's and I'll let Tootie say her piece. Here's what I'm going to say in regards to just this and the theme. Not even the theme. Do you when we did our Silent Hill lore? Did because I know Mike did. I don't remember Tootie's answer. Did you watch or play Silent Hill 3: The Room?
Yeah.
I did not.
This gave me Silent Hill 3: The Room
That's
vibes.
four.
Four that came out afterwards. Then
Yep.
okay, because Silent Hill 3 came out in 2003, and so
That's
the whole
Heather.
damn thing, pretty much for me, felt like a horror flick from the word go. Again, my second watch through, first time I was ill. Um, I found that there's some holes that I'm gonna bring up, just a plot hole or two where I'm just
Nice.
left going, what? But okay. But I I agree with everything that has been said. I did not even notice the music. Like I don't even remember music except
Wow.
for
So
maybe
good.
the hallway scene.
Wow.
It was a brutal film to watch just from if you're putting yourself in the place of this person, which is what film wants us to do, is to put ourselves in their place. Just the torture, the trauma, the I don't know why I'm here. Just that feeling alone is suffocating in this film. And they do a great job of building that intensity. And by the time we get to the end and it's the I'm the bad guy, This dude's like a villain out of a freaking comic book. You know what I mean? Like, he is a villain and he's literally about to walk out the door. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, wait, I said what? This is an awesome movie?
This movie's so good.
I'm like this. I don't know what the word is, but I can no longer go and be like, oh yeah, old boy, that's an awesome movie. I can't say that word with it. So on that note, Tootie, go on.
Oh, I'm spoiling this?
Yeah, if you want to. Well,
Okay.
you have it in
Okay.
your teeth, so go
I'm
ahead and
so ready to spill the tea on this movie. So,
yeah.
this movie is, as we've mentioned previously, just like Scott Pilgrim, with the common denominator, this movie's about revenge. All the way around, actually. It actually starts off as a revenge film as we find our protagonist in captivity, who we find out has been in captivity for 15 years, being captive by a mysterious stranger who he has no idea who. He has 5 days to find out who and why they did what they did. In those 5 days, he randomly finds himself on a very grassy hillside in a suitcase, pops the suitcase open. He has been released for whatever reason, for very random reasons. In his opinion, in his eyes, he has been released. So he realizes that he has a job to do. My job is to get revenge. My job is to find out who did this. My job is to find out who took my family from me. And at the time, Daisao was married to a beautiful woman, and they both had a daughter. They gave birth to a little girl. Um, it turns out that the revenge is actually reversed. This person who kidnapped Daisao was putting revenge on him. And the reason why is because this person, who is the absolute villain, super hot villain, by the way, he's super hot, but super like way Asian influence, way like the most Korean thing you can ever see, honestly. And the way this villain actually reduces Daiso to a dog, almost literally. It's insane. But the reason for the revenge is that Daiso was, as when they were children, he grew up with this person apparently, which he finds out and discovers later on in the movie. He found him being ancestral with his sister. That turned into something where the sister ended up becoming pregnant, and it was a rumor that was spread around their village or around their town. So what ended up happening when they were in high school is that the sister ended up killing herself. She ended up unaliving herself, as we say, so we don't, God forbid, we get monetized for speaking about a movie. So the whole thing is that the villain wants revenge on Daisao because he's the reason why she's dead. Apparently, he caught them in the act. He started spreading the rumor about them, and this is how the story begins. The revenge on Daisao is absolutely insane because this was not a choice that he was given, and yet it was at the same time. So as he was released, in the 5 days that he was released, he runs into this female in a sushi restaurant. He almost instantly falls in love with her. She helps him. She, for some reason, falls in love with him. At first, it kind of starts off as her being really sorry, feeling really sorry for him. But yeah, they end up falling in love. They develop this beautiful, amazing relationship. And towards the end of the movie, he finally catches up to his villain. He sees him and encounters him throughout the movie, but the villain's like, no, you can't kill me yet because we're not done. No, you can't kill me yet because we're not done. Several times throughout the film, he meets up with him and he's ready to kill him. Doesn't happen. For some reason, he logically understands, no, he's right. I need this revenge. So at the end of the movie, he finds out exactly what is going on. And what actually ends up happening is this villain somehow was able to trick and hypnotize both Daisao and this young woman into falling in love with each other, which is why it was instant. It took trigger words. It took trigger people. It took an entire orchestrated like agenda for this to actually fall into place, and it falls into perfect place for this entire thing to play out. Turns out, when he finds him, Daisao, he's gifted this photo album. He opens a box, starts rummaging through the photo album, And then he realizes that the person he's been in love with this entire time is his own daughter. So they've developed this physical relationship, they developed this emotional relationship, and it's very disturbing. And Daisaw understands how disturbing it is, hence him begging his villain. And I wish I remembered his name. I don't remember the name. I just know he's hot. But he begs his villain to never let her know, because he understands that if she knew, she'd probably end her life as well. It would ruin her life regardless, one way or another. So he tells him, "I will be your dog. I beg you. I will do anything you want me to, etc., etc." At the end of the film, the villain ends up killing himself. So there's really no revenge to be taken place after that. Daisao finds himself in the middle of the snow. His worried girlfriend finds him, and he decides, this will be the rest of my life for the rest of my life. He decides to continue the relationship with his daughter. And it's absolutely horrifying and disturbing to understand that this man, this innocent man, was broken to the point where if he's going to find anything worth living for, it's going to be that, and at least it's that. Absolutely disgusting. So these are the spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. It's a movie that leaves you feeling extremely helpless and hopeless, honestly.
Yeah, because and that was my question to you, Toots. You mentioned earlier that there was a choice made by Dao Su, but was there? I don't think he had much of a choice in any of his actions because it was so orchestrated by the villain through, like you said, suggestive hypnosis. You know, you know, and they were both, like you said, they were both hypnotized. So it was kind of like a puppetry. He was a puppeteer, this villain,
Right.
and you know, even to the point where it was almost like the game with Michael Douglas,
Michael Douglas.
where there's nothing he could have done. There is no other scenario. It played out exactly like the villain wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly to the millisecond, down to every single waking moment that they had was orchestrated and conducted. And you found that out when after they made love, they gassed the room that they were in, just like they would gas him back when he was in
Yeah.
captivity, and he laid down in bed with them just to say how close he was to the situation, and they had no idea. He was
Yeah.
screwed from the start. There's nothing. It's
So gross.
it's very
So
Rosemary's
gross.
Baby, right? Where Rosemary had no real action in the entire film because she was screwed from the start. Like
That's true. No control. And the same with Daisao. No control.
there's
No
nothing.
control. Just having to have no choice but to be arrested to the situation.
And Tootie, one of my issues with the film is he did have like two other times to take the dude out. And I mean, if you had locked me in a room for 15 years, I'm taking you out.
Revenge,
Yeah,
though.
dude, there is no like explanation. I don't care. I
I
don't know
know.
now. I don't know in the future. But you did maybe just answer one of my questions in regards to why that didn't happen. And I think back now and I go, well, maybe he was hypnotized not to, which is why the villain was never really that worried about it.
I didn't think about that.
And
Holy
maybe
shit.
he was just, yeah, he was like, ah, whatever, whatever.
Yeah,
That
And
totally
thus
makes.
it did happen. So,
yeah.
okay, that
Oh
does
man.
fill that hole.
Yeah,
I'll
that blew
just
me
say
away.
my
Actually.
other
Yeah.
plot hole is there's a shot towards the end when we get to see the facility he's in. There are like 25 other dudes in
Going
their
through the
single
same thing.
rooms.
Yeah.
He didn't have like issues with all of them. So for me, that huge plot hole, that one little scene was left me going, so what's he doing? Just holding people kidnapped because
I don't
why?
think they were all his hostages though. I think this was a business for hire.
Like a
They belong
military
to
base or
different,
something like
yeah,
that.
they belong to different clients, basically,
Hmm.
is what I was gathering from the entire thing. Yeah.
So that there's a business where if you want revenge, they will go grab this person off the street and do what needs to be done.
Or maybe that was
I
his
mean, okay,
business because there's a
I just
scene.
wish that that was cleaner.
For sure.
me to just because you're like motivations, revenge, all of this. He did it for this reason, but yet there's 25 other dudes
No, I think that was
in
his
the room.
business because there's a scene where there's a box of tapes and it's different people. He had to find his tape. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe he wasn't.
So then what's the villain do? Let me get this dude's name because I can't. We just
Yeah,
can't
because
I
keep going.
know.
he's so stuck on revenge. Maybe his business, because the dude was turbo rich, right? The guy was super insane. Lex Luthor
There's no
rich.
explanation as to how wealthy he. There's no explanation for his wealthy
So I'm
either.
thinking
Excuse me.
he's kidnapping people and
Lee Woo Jin.
Lee Woo.
That's
Let's say
his name.
Lee
Yeah.
Lee Woo Jin. Let's say his business is, hey, rich guy I know, do you have someone that you hate? You know, I will kidnap them for you and run them through the gauntlet, and we'll tailor your revenge based upon how you want it to. And I think Daesu was his personal project. Because, like Toot said, there's no real explanation to why this kid was turbo rich or this guy was super, like, comically in control, comically wealthy. You know what I mean? To where he had spared no expense. You know what
Literally
I mean?
had a shower in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
What?
He had
Just
a
a
closet.
shower in the middle of the room.
No, what tripped me out was the closet cube, where the closet closet
Right?
cube would separate
Right,
out.
exactly.
What was that?
What is he, a Kardashian? Get out of here.
What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
I want that.
Yeah.
I want an open floor
sure.
closet cube. You know what I'm saying? He had him being gang stalked throughout the film. Remember when he crawled out from the titular hallway scene, and the guy's like, "Hey, buddy, you're so much blood.
Oh yeah.
Get into
Yeah.
the taxi. See you later, Daesu." That's when you knew he was fucked, dude. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is going too crazy. Like, he has hired henchmen all over the city, keeping tabs on Daesu and his wife child. Oh Jesus, that's so weird. Fuck this movie. So it's like, my man, he had really, and it's like, is he innocent because he was a kid and made a bad decision, spreading rumors about this guy's sister?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. He's innocent.
because that's kid shit, right? The guy
Yes.
and the villain had a
It's not his fault. It's not his fault. Lee Woo Jin was having sexual
sex
relations.
with his sister.
Actually, a solid relationship. It wasn't even just about sex with them. They were in love with each other.
Yeah, they were in love.
They were in love with each other. And
And-
he wanted Daesu to figure out what it's like to be in love with somebody you're related to. So he
And-
did.
So he did.
As Mike said at the start, let it go.
Let it
Let
go.
it go.
That's
Let
what
it go.
I'm
Like
That's my through
little
line.
drastic, man. You ever have
punishment-
that one person who does like a bad breakup, and you're like,
but she died. She killed
yeah,
herself.
okay,
But that's his
That's his
fault.
guilt. That's agreed. I agree. That's
Like-
not Daesu's fault.
And
I
it's-
agree.
And it's gaslighting to the infinite degree, right? You spread this rumor. What did he say? She didn't get pregnant by a man. She got pregnant by the rumor. The rumor is what got her pregnant.
You're the reason why she
You're
got
the reason
pregnant.
why she
Yeah,
got
that's
pregnant.
that's literally what he said. Yeah,
Infinite
that's
gaslight Desu, the jutsu, and it's like that much unaccountability to the point where you're going to orchestrate a 15-year campaign to ruin this man's life. The punishment may not fit the crime there. There's a little, it's a little
a little
cartoony,
drastic.
a little drastic. Maybe you could have just
Killed his wife, like planted the you know what I mean? Like,
maybe
it is super comic booky, but yeah, go on.
it's very much. What was the name of that kid? Scott Kennison in South Park, where
yeah. Where Cartman makes him eat his own parents.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
bro,
it's
maybe
very
the
petty
punish-
shit.
very petty. It's petty is the word for this
Petty,
villain.
Yeah.
Because, bro, how many millions of dollars in 2003 did you spend to make this guy's life a living hell? Like, and then to have a 5-day like
For
super.
15 years. For
Yeah,
15
dude,
years.
just the
he
dumplings
pulled this
alone at $8.99 or $8.99
Them damn
yen,
dumplings, man.
times 15 years, like,
Bruh,
come on, that's a lot
that's-
of cash.
that Green Goblin sleep gas couldn't have been cheap.
No,
That's expensive shit. Just to pump
So-
into
Kind
a
of makes
room.
me wonder how many of these buildings in downtown LA actually are holding the same type of things that are actually happening in real life. The Cecil Hotel, I can't imagine the Cecil Hotel isn't one of those places that is holding people hostage and captive. Cecil
The
Hotel is
last
so seedy and gross.
the last thing I'm going to say, Tootie, and this was my takeaway, unfortunately, um, is oh shit. I wonder how often this actually like happens in like life type things. And I was left with that going,
Just
yeah,
outside of the
no,
money, this is super possible.
dude, this is so
Outside of just the infinite money it would take to do this.
disturbed, disturbed. So
Remember that
that's my final thought.
just recently in LA, there was that sign that you could see from a helicopter that was just help in that one empty lot downtown LA. Remember that shit? Where
Yeah.
they were doing the
Yeah. That
trafficking?
was literally January. That was
Yeah.
in January. Yeah. The whole they literally made help out of rocks or out of something. Like it was just a big ass help. Yeah, there's tons of people being
There's
trafficked here and stuff.
tons,
So
and like there was the girls in Ohio that were captive in a house like for
mhm,
23 years, like in a basement. And
yeah,
there's a family that kept like 6 or 8 kids locked up for
yeah.
20 freaking years. So it does happen. You know what I mean? And I that's a terrible fate.
And
That's a
what's
terrible fate.
interesting is a lot of all of those situations, as far as I remember, were incestual.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
hadn't considered that. Oh my
These
god.
these these young women were having the babies of their father.
Uh, uh,
On that note,
yeah. On that note, Toots, you
Ah,
know what? Toots, final thoughts before we move on. Final, just I don't want
final
to.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, this movie again, memorable as memorable as ever. And again, it left me with a feeling of hopelessness. It left me with a feeling of this guy's doomed. Everybody in this situation, their lives are over one way or another. Movie left me feeling extremely hopeless. I'm down to get to common denominators on between the both, but yeah, as far as Old Boy, absolutely hopeless.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Not feeling great on this one. So we have to choose a winner.
we do have to choose a winner. That is why we're here.
We have to choose a winner. So last week I went first, I think, between me and Bry. And Toots is the wild card. She's the tiebreaker. If somehow we split hairs on this. So Wash, make your choice.
My choice, it was not it was a difficult one till it wasn't a difficult one. That is what I'm going to say. And unfortunately, when I say that, yeah, Old Boy's awesome, I can't use that word for this movie. I can't look at someone and go, you should watch Old Boy. Yes, it is a fantastic film, right? But as far as a recommendation goes, I can't do it, and thus Scott Pilgrim wins.
Scott Pilgrim wins.
Wrote it on an envelope.
Fatality.
Wrote it on mail. Okay, there you
Okay.
go.
Scott Pilgrim.
Anything else?
No,
Why did?
am I
Oh,
supposed to have some?
okay. I don't
What
know.
about?
Why does Scott Pilgrim win? All right, that's good.
Oh, all right. Oh, because I had a much more enjoyable time with the movie.
Okay.
Like I got done with Scott Pilgrim, and it's like I was pleasantly overwhelmed, surprised. In fact, I was like, "Is there a Scott Pilgrim 2? Do these characters grow up?"
Anime. Watch the
And
anime.
when Old Boy ended, I did not feel that way. I felt, yeah, no, I don't need to see this again with my eyes, and
With my
thus
eyes.
that's where we are.
Very good. Very good. Scott Pilgrim. Since Nightmare Alley versus Astro Boy, I've been of two minds on how I choose my movies. Right? It's like one part of my brain is like, is this an excellent film? Is this well made? Is this something that is should be studied and watched? Is this a spectacular film? And the other brain is like, did I enjoy myself? Is this something I would watch again? It's just something like Wash said. I would recommend to someone if they're looking for a good time. So my brain kind of came up and said maybe it should be a little out of column A, a little bit out of column B, in which film kind of reaches that the most, right? Because that's kind of I was because I just don't I didn't I had a movie I was going to pick, but I ended up changing my mind, simply because of
Oh,
our conversations here, and not to be too
I
long
don't think you're
winded.
allowed to do
No, that's the whole point of writing it down, right? You write it down,
that.
That is
then
the whole point.
It's
yeah,
literally the whole point.
yeah. So
Okay.
you don't know to do that. But no, like just to call it out front, I wrote down Old Boy. I gotta go Scott Pilgrim on this one. I gotta go Scott. I
It's a
gotta go.
cop out.
I gotta go Scott Pilgrim. Only because and now what the
Cop
why
out.
though it's not a cop out because
It
it's
is a
like
cop out.
oh,
You wrote down one, you're going with the other.
but isn't that the point of writing down your choice to
I
then maybe
guess,
change in your
yeah.
mind? That was
I
the mission
guess.
statement in the first episode. Am I wrong, Wash?
A little. It was a little misconstrued, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? No one's making money off this thing, so it's fine.
It's
But
it's
but it's just that when you come in with, it's more not letting the conversation dictate your pick. You know what
okay.
I mean? That's more because all three of us are going to be debatable in whatever it is we talk about. We're going to be influential in whatever it is we talk about, and thus, well, maybe you know what, I liked it because of that, and thus writing it down kept the honesty in it all. But you
Okay.
just said you had Old Boy, but you know what? I'm going with Scott Pilgrim. Now, why? We are interested to hear.
Yeah.
To Tootie's thing of a cop out, I'm not
You know what?
there. I did
You know
not
what?
say any of
I
that. So,
misconstrued the
Ooh, this
okay,
spirit
man.
of writing it down. I misconstrued the
okay.
spirit of writing it down. I thought that writing
Misconstrued.
misconstrued. I thought that writing it down gives you the opportunity to say, "Ooh, discussing it with my friends changed my mind."
No, it
Right?
does. It does. You're
It does.
allowed to change your mind.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just
it does.
You know what I'm saying?
lame.
It's
That's all. That's all.
no,
You're allowed. Yeah, absolutely.
no.
But
It's just that
whack.
I originally wanted Old Boy to win because I thought it was the better made film. I found myself going in and out of Scott Pilgrim. Maybe because I've seen it before. Maybe because Old Boy had subtitles, so it forced me to focus and to read and to watch. But I was glued to my seat when it came to Old Boy. Scott Pilgrim, I found myself looking at my phone. You know what I mean? Kind of trailing off mentally, and it just didn't keep my attention. Maybe because I've seen it and I love the content so much. I don't know. So
So you're saying Old Boy wins? Is that what you're
no,
saying? 'Cause
No,
that's
I think he's going with Scott Pilgrim.
oh,
no, it's not.
okay, but all right.
But that being said, I've seen it before, and I remember the experience of seeing it, and I love the
Oh,
content, and I love the idea of Scott, and I love the bass lines, and I love Toronto, and I love the video game, you know, continuation screens. I love everything about Scott Pilgrim, and I enjoyed it. Can I say I enjoyed Old Boy?
hard.
Hard, right? I appreciate it, and it's like, do I want escargot or do I want some party wings? You know what I'm saying? Like I could appreciate the escargot in the flavored layers of tastiness, but I'll kill some wings right now live. You know what I mean? I may kind of wince a little bit at the escarg. My screen went completely black. That's crazy. Hopefully that didn't catch on this on the thing. But okay, I'll be Mr. Cop Out. I'll be Mr. Lame. I wrote down Old Boy, but after hearing you guys talk about it, reliving the trauma of that movie, it being like, what are you gonna watch on a Saturday night, Mike? Are you gonna watch Old Boy or Scott Pilgrim? I'm watching Scott Pilgrim with a Papa John shakaroni and a big old Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit there and bum myself out watching Old Boy, dude. It's not happening. So if I wanted a movie to go forward in this competition, it's gonna be Scott Pilgrim. And that's my answer. Are you guys muted? Wait, everything is muted. Hold on before you say anything. I don't know why everything's muted. Everything just muted out of nowhere. All right, say something, somebody. And this is the time of the episode where everything messes up. Thank you, Internet gods, for giving us this much time. It's completely. What if I do this? And refresh. 1 second. Somebody say something. I don't. Oh, what happened? I don't know. Just to keep the episode going, would you guys mind jumping out and jumping back in? See if that fixes it while we close out the show. I don't know what happened. But this is par for the course with MOTN Random Select. Just seems to be that sometimes we have fun little technical difficulties as we close out Toot's final pick. Well, for this episode. So now I'm just waiting for them to sign back in so we can reestablish our connection. And they should be popping in at any second. And this is where I get to go nuts. And it's ISO on mic until they show back up into the episode. I think they're back. I think they're back. Show on screen. Toots is back. Wash.
Oh,
Show on
hi,
screen.
hi.
Are you there?
Wash is back.
Can
We're
you
back.
hear
We're back.
us?
We're back. We're back. Yes.
Can you
All
hear
right.
us?
Yes. You're flipped now.
Tootie's pick.
Tooties.
All right, let's get this done before we're absolutely fucked once more, right? Okay, so the common denominator between the two films, they're both a story about love at first sight. They're both a story about revenge, and they both have Asian honor involved and Asian influences in both movies, where you have to absolutely move out of respect and honor in order to take the next step. In both movies, all of these aspects do exist. My pick, so that we're not going without further ado, is Old Boy.
Sick.
I picked Old Boy.
Let's go.
And the reason why I picked Old Boy is honestly because it is absolutely the better film. And without apologies, I'm not going to choose a film because, I don't like the subject matter. I'm going to choose a film who's absolutely fundamentally better. That's better done, better dialogue. But I mean, we don't even speak Korean. We speak English, right? We only read the subtitles of the film. Better dialogue, just better direction, better music, better cutscenes. Everything about this movie was better. Scott Pilgrim, amazing movie, fun movie, a little bit too chaotic for me. I will absolutely, any potential filmmaker, any potential actor, anybody who's actually trying to get involved in anything where other people have to see you, I will 1000% recommend Old Boy. So while I lose in this, I'm in this round, and Scott Pilgrim continues to move forward, I will absolutely 1000% hands down recommend that you watch Old Boy at least once. And the truth is, for this movie, it only takes once.
Yes.
So you have to, you got to go with it. Thank you that I did not lose my integrity and had to crash out and try to choose something else because it's not the right subject matter. No, I'm good on that. I'm fine with it. I choose
man.
Old Boy, and I lost this round.
You
And
want
that's
some icy hot for that sore head, Toots Odin?
absolutely
ISO
not.
on Toots. ISO on Toots.
Absolutely not, because you
Oh,
know what?
man. But you know what?
Old Boy is a very good movie. So
It's-
there's nothing about that is going to change the fact that this movie was, it's not better. It's not, I can't say it's better than Scott Pilgrim. It's not. It's just a film that takes filmmaking to a whole different level. Insanity.
I mean, does it?
It does.
And you know,
It absolutely does.
we can go into, you know what, you can put it on the schedule. We can go into like a full depth review of Old Boy the film, but you know, that whole taking it to the whole next level, and you know, I mean,
How do you walk
it's
into a green
it's
room
not the
and
first.
well,
It's
how do
not
you
the
walk
first
into
of
a
its
room
type.
and actually well, it's not the first. Well, you can argue the same thing about Scott Pilgrim. It's not necessarily the first of its type. We already had
I watched Scott
Speed
Pilgrim
Racer.
for the first time and I enjoyed it. I watched Old Boy for the second time. I enjoyed it the first time. I enjoyed it the second time. It's just not what I want to watch again.
It's
That's all.
funny. Toots, exactly your sentiment for Old Boy was my sentiment for Pasapuli. It's like, I thought it was the
Yeah,
superior film, right? Like I was passionate and I felt crunchy as hell about that loss. I was like, wait, how is Persepolis losing? What the
I
hell?
don't
This
feel
is
crunchy.
I feel
I
cr-
know I'm right.
I felt crunchy and I'm still
It's
right.
okay.
Debatable.
It's
Percep-
But
okay.
that's why we have
but
random
that's why we have
select.
random select, guys. This is
That's
it.
the point.
Here's the thing. I don't mind that Scott Pilgrim's moving forward. It's a good movie. We done good with these picks, fellas.
Yes.
I
Yes,
don't
there's
mind that.
no bad
Hell
films
yeah.
thus far. Well,
Yeah,
None.
the end of Nightmare Alley's debatable, but not the end, but like just the last 30, 45 minutes of us
Stop,
all
well,
just
stop. It's already
it was
dead.
just too long. It was just too
please
long.
end.
But other than
Right.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
It
So
was a good movie. Yeah. Scott Pilgrim, I gave a 3 out of 5. Old Boy, I get a 4 out of 5. Just so you guys know. Just throw it
Solid.
out there.
Solid. And what sucks is like picking your children. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because Old Boy is
No.
great. It's like picking your weird, revenge driven children, right? I love both of these
like I, s-
movies.
uh, like I said, well, going in, I thought the old boy was gonna just crush this
I
film.
literally,
Me
I did
I was
too.
like, this thing is
I
not
thought
even,
Old Boy was
it's
going
not
to take it.
debatable. But at the end of Old Boy, I was like, oh, there's a conversation to be had.
Right.
This is going to be interesting. So yeah, on that
It's
note,
it's such
Scott
a one
Pilgrim wins random select.
wins this round of random select.
There
Old
you
Boy
go.
is such a one hitter. It's a one punch man. You know, all it takes is one punch for you to feel the weight of Old Boy. You know what I'm saying? It's such a strong film. God. And I'm happy we gave it its flowers. I think a lot of times I'm happy that the loser gets their flowers because this is a godlike film. It's not bad on any level. And like Toot said, I highly recommend this movie to anybody who wants to have their brain blown out and see some beautiful visuals and some artistic moments and like the music. Watch it again just for the music. It's so subtle and so good. The hallway scene is goated. You know what I'm saying? And it's the scene. There's so many good scenes in this film. The scene where where the guy's trying to commit suicide right after he gets out of the trunk, and he's holding him by his tie, and he's like, and, he says that thing where he's like, I'm no better than Beast, but don't I deserve to live? You know what I mean? That's a
And
line
the
that
scene
stuck
comes
with me.
full circle. Yeah.
Yes. Whew.
I don't have our next battle in front of us. So if
I do.
anyone does have that, there
For
you
the
go.
next random select, it's going to be Matthew Vaughn's own Kingsman and the Secret
Nice.
Service versus iconic nostalgia bait classic 1984. When did that movie come out? I may be wrong on the date.
89.
89. That's Batman. 80 something. I have to catch the date. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
90.
90. Such a good year. TGRI. So we have
Yeah.
these two films that I think one is going to get watched and it breaks my heart. I just almost don't want to do it. I'm so scared for one film. I'm so scared.
I don't want to do this.
Random select.
I don't want to do this one.
Random select. Random select.
Yeah.
The universe chose these. So Scott Pilgrim.
I think she's going to come out of it happily surprised, as we always
think so,
do out
too.
of random
Right?
select.
I'm gonna end
Ran-
up picking. Yeah.
That is the point of random select. Is you learn something about yourself, you learn something about the movies, and you get to have a decent conversation.
For sure.
That's what it's all about. And on that note, this has been Random Select. If you enjoy this content, please like our content on YouTube. Please like our posts over at Instagram, Tootie Odin. Once again, killing it on the social media side with the memes, with the calls to action, with the post about Random Select. Show us love, man. Help us grow our community. Subscribe to our channels all across the board. And comment. What did Toots get robbed? Did Old Boy get robbed? The answer is yes.
Son.
I got robbed, son. Let us know. Tear us a new one. You guys are dumb. Old Boy rules. I want to hear all of it. Comment. Please comment on this episode. Any final thoughts, team, before we close this bad boy out?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Congratulations on your win, gentlemen.
Random select, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know what's gonna happen. You just don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All
right.
Until next time, I am Mike G. This is Masters of the Nerdiverse podcast, and we are out. MOTN. Out.
Yay.
Later, peoples.